people these days, they are really thriving on drama and on attention and all those kind of shit, So if there's nothing going on there, they're going to start creating something. To me, black metal is more than just music. It's not comparable to heavy metal. Like, we have that philosophy behind it, which is really into our lives as well. It's unbelievable. Like, it's a feeling that still today is hard to describe. So, like, instantly, I knew that was my place with those guys.
Greetings, Legion, and welcome to episode 296 of Into the Necrosphere. We are 4 episodes away from episode 300, and there is absolutely no letting up in the quality of guests in the run-up to that milestone. This week, I am welcoming to the podcast, for the first time, Nornagast, the frontman for the legendary black metalers Enthroned. Their new album is entitled Ashspawn, and it will be released through Season of Mist Records within the next couple of weeks. We spoke all about the album. We spoke about Enthroned's history, about Nornagast's own personal journey. If you've seen any interviews with him, you know he is a man who rarely runs short of things to say. And we chopped it up for about an hour and a half in an absolutely sensational conversation that will be coming your way very shortly. But before we get to that, as always, we kick off with a sliver of unsanctioned filth. For that, we travel back in time to May the 29th, 2019, and the release of an EP entitled Constrictor Redeemer. The band in question was Liorsber. They feature a member of Horned Almighty who may or may not have been on this podcast probably about 18 months or so ago. He describes it as some of the darkest work of his entire career. I happen to agree with him, and I think you guys are absolutely going to fucking love this if you haven't heard it yet. This, for your listening pleasure, Legion, is a track called Herostratum. Kicking off into the Necrosphere this week with a dirty slab of unsanctioned filth. That was Leorsber off the EP Constrictor Redeemer, the song Herostratum. It's available on Bandcamp right now. That EP came out way back in 2019, like I said, and since then, Leorsber have been picked up by Vendetta Records, wisely so. But no indication yet of when they may be putting out a full-length album, so here's a clever way to encourage them. Head over to Bandcamp, link in the description to the podcast, and when you buy this EP, you will not be disappointed if you do. I should just add that. You let them know that it was old Jackson at Into the Necrosphere who sent you, and you say that you demand they work on a full-length due for release in 2026. If you would like a chance to be featured on the Unsanctioned Filth segment of this podcast, then drop me a line on intothenecrosphere@gmail.com. You can also hit me up on Instagram, Facebook, or X. And if I like what I hear, I will feature it on the show. I'm also going to be launching intothenecrosphere.com, and the plan is to have it live, up and running by the time that episode 300 goes live. In that, we're going to have a dedicated section for the Unsanctioned Filth alumni. So if you are featured on the podcast, you'll have your very own little block there that people can go and click on, and hopefully that helps drive a little more interest to the work of independent musicians. Friends, if you don't know, you should know. I'm a card-carrying member of the Horsemen of the Podcasting Apocalypse, the Cosa Nostra of podcasting, and we are dedicated to bringing you high-quality entertainment and vanquishing mediocrity from Monday to Sunday. Almost said from Sunday to Monday. It doesn't really matter, because we are there for you just about every goddamn day of the week. On a Monday, we've got Horrorwolf 666, and that's brought to you by Brandon Legion. On a Tuesday, yours truly casts hexes and slays poses right here on Into the Necrosphere. I have recorded episode 300, and if you follow me on Instagram, you would have gotten a pretty direct clue as to who that's going to be. There may also be a few Easter eggs scattered around this episode, but just in case you don't pick up on those, well, firstly, I should probably just say tough luck, wait for December the 2nd when episode 300 drops, but I will give you a few more clues. Norwegian legend, one of the greatest drummers to ever walk the face of the earth, certainly in black metal, and I can also tell you this. You can look high and low. He has done interviews, but he has never done an interview like this. So a fitting conversation for a milestone episode. I can't wait to share that one with you. And I've got a bunch of other stuff coming in the run-up to that happening. So you just keep watching this space. On a Wednesday, we've got Sensei Mike Hill giving you the first of our double shots of the week. He brings you another episode of Everything Went Black. Also, on a Wednesday, we got my brother from another mother, Cheyenne, from the band Trivax. Trivax, incidentally, going on tour with Apsu in the next couple of weeks. And they're going to be all over Europe, so make sure you check out those tour dates and show them some support if they happen to roll into your town. He will also, I believe, not be letting up on any Iblis Manifestations episodes, so you can catch that every Wednesday. On a Thursday, we've got Mike Hill returning with Necromaniacs. He is joined by his co-hosts, the Sheriff Mike Scondato and Professor Jeff Kashid, one of my absolute favorite podcasts of the week, one I never miss. They review new and old horror movies. It's always super entertaining, very often very funny, and certainly very informative. On a Thursday and again on a Sunday, we also have the Sinister Minister Carl Hikara taking you on a tour of the dark, the weird, the arcane, and the esoteric with his podcast, Soul Knox. And that settles the lineup, my friends. We haven't blooded in any new members for quite some time. Not sure anybody's ready to step up to the plate and take on this smoke. Stick around after my conversation with Nornagast, because Into the Necrosphere favorite, Drugoth, is going to be returning to sit in with me on the Weekly News Rant. We spoke about, naturally, we had to talk about the new Mayhem single. We also spoke about some of our favorite drummers in black metal and in death metal. There was a bit of MMA talk. We listened to some music. We spoke about a couple of metal news headlines, so that's coming up later on in the show. First up, though, sit back and enjoy as I welcome Enthroned's own Nornagast. So when we were talking earlier, and you confirmed that we were going to do this today, which, by the way, I really appreciate. It's not something I get very often. You said you guys have Storm Amy arriving in Norway tonight?
Yeah. So I spent the whole day like in security, putting security all over the house. Like it's the first time in a quarter of a century or something like that. Like there we have like the extremely red warning here.
Yeah.
So like it was a lot running around, putting things on the windows, in front of the doors, like putting all the stuff from the garden and everything in the basement, and sealing the basement. So it was like, wow. So yeah, like I'm looking forward to see how this is gonna be this night. It's gonna be my first big storm in Norway, so I'm pretty curious to see how that will go.
I'm just reading here now. It says wind gusts of up to 40 meters per second. It's I think a force 10 storm, and apparently it's due to the remnants of I think it's Hurricane Humberto.
Yeah.
So we seem to have a little bit of the overspill here in the UK where I'm based. But fortunately, nothing as fucking wild as what you're dealing with. You've always been a Belgian citizen, though, or you lived in Belgium for a very, very long time. What made you move to Norway?
Well, basically, met somebody, so it's like a more on a private matter.
Moved for love.
Exactly. So when you meet the right person, yeah, there you go. Even dark people like us can find that. So
can be romantic, dude. Very interesting. Like some of the baddest of the bad dudes that I've had on this podcast, like when you get to know them, and a lot of them I've become friends with, like, you know, there's a very different side to their private life. I'd hasten to call it the soft side, but they are extremely different people. My wife has always found that fascinating about the scene because she's not from it. So as she's gotten to know people in the scene and she meets them, and she's with me when I do some of the face-to-face interviews, she's like, they're nothing like what you think they're going to be when you see them on stage.
Yeah. No, basically, like I always said, like, I'm going to stay to Belgium. Whatever happens, I'm going to stay here, in my village there. And then that lady showed up, and all my plans were basically fucked. So,
okay. How have you found the transition from Belgium to Norway?
That was okay. I expected it to be worse, to be honest, but it went quite smoothly. The main difference is the weather. So, people were telling me, oh, you're gonna be cold, like the snow and everything. Fuck the snow. Like the snow, it's nothing. It's okay. It's really okay. Like in the part of where I'm from in Belgium, we have a lot of snow as well. So, and pretty cold. My wife, when she came to Belgium, she was like, wow, she was freezing. She was really literally freezing her ass off. And she's from Norway. The thing is here, it's like when we coming from the summer to autumn and then winter, it goes super fast. And like in 2 or 3 days, you go from 20 plus to frost on your car in the morning, so you have that big difference in the atmosphere, and the atmosphere, the pressure of the atmosphere is absolutely mental. So everybody, you go around, on your hikes here or like to the supermarket or whatever, and you see everybody walking like old gadgies, like everybody, even those guys of 29, 30, because everything hurts. And then you have that big pressure in the head and everything. Let's say that's the most difficult to get used to get adapted to. And when it's the long nights, that's fine. Long days in the beginning, I had a hard time. So like you have to wait like 1.5, 2 in the morning. So then it starts to get dark. And
that's rough, and that fucks with your body clock. It
at 4 in the morning, everything. It's already bright outside. So you have like maybe 2.5 hours of darkness. That's it. So, and we are in the south. So imagine in the north, so
Well, I remember getting off the plane for Inferno last year, and this was April time, and the first thing that struck me about the cold is because it gets very cold in the UK, as you know as well, but it is this penetrating cold. Like I've never experienced anything like it in my life. It's like somebody is stabbing you with an ice pick when you feel it for the first time.
Yeah, that's still okay. Still okay. Really, the area from Belgium I'm from, like that's brutal. Because you have that thin, that vicious rain and that ice cold wind together, and that little vicious bitch go through all your clothes, and then you're all drenched. Like it's absolutely horrible. Here it's still okay. Like at least you know where you stand. It's not that vicious. It's okay. But okay, well, of course it's more brutal than in UK. But yeah, it's fine for me. It's fine. It's absolutely okay.
You were originally, or you were born in the UK, and then you went to Belgium. How old were you when you moved to Belgium?
Actually, I was born in Belgium, but
oh, really? Okay.
But my family is from Newcastle, so I went back there every year see the family. Obviously, I lost a bit of the English accent to speech, etc. through the years.
Just slightly.
Yeah. But originally all my family is from Newcastle, Gateshead, Wallsend, that area. So we still had a cottage in Corbridge as well.
Yeah. So. Do you come back to the UK like nowadays regularly, or
these days? No, it's been a while. It's been a while, so I'm planning to go back there like when I can. So first going back to Belgium to see the family and the friends or whatever, then into UK for sightseeing, some of the family, and rehearsal as well. So because they're a bit scattered with the band now. So
yeah, a lot has changed about the UK. I mean, I've lived here now for 23 years. And I was walking around in London last night, actually, and actually, I was being driven with a taxi from a restaurant that I was eating at with a client of mine to Paddington Station. We're going past where one of my old employers, where their office was, just looking at a couple of spots that I used to spend quite a lot of time at, and I thought to myself, "Fuck, man, a lot of London for me, it feels like the joy has been removed from the city." Right. It used to be a place back in 2002, 2003. There was a real excitement about it, and nowadays it's just gone. Part of it for me died with the removal of the Astoria and the Mean Fiddler. Like when that central London music scene left, it just wasn't as cool anymore. But the whole place is just. There's some things about it that's better. The restaurants, the food is fucking way better than it was when I first moved here. But a lot of it is just not as. It's just not. I don't know. It's something missing.
Yeah, last time I was there was 2 years ago, I think, when we played Cosmic Void. But I used to hang out a lot in London back in the days. When you live in Belgium, like it's just a €1 star away, so it was like easy, like at least once a month, meeting with my partners in crime in London, raising a bit havoc there in Camden and those. Black horse coming.
Yeah, I'm about to say a lot of havoc to be raised in Camden, that's for sure. So you are on the eve of Ashspawn being released, and firstly, the first single that came out, as soon as I heard that, I instantly reached out to Will, and I was like, I wanted somebody from Enthroned on the podcast back when Cold Black Suns came out, but that was kind of just when I'd started the show, so I don't think that I would have had the pull to ask anybody to be on as a guest. But Ashspawn instantly grabbed me. Feels to me like, at least from the initial early indications, feels to me like a natural continuation of Cold Black Suns, which to me was a very confident and very intentional step forward for the band.
Wow, it's interesting. For us, like, we thought, like, when we composed this album, we thought like, oh, okay, this is gonna be totally different. Like something sounds almost like another band, you know. And in the end, you know, like after we finished the recording and everything, like, okay, you still recognize there's a Enthroned thing there, but it's another level, I would say. This is definitely the album I wanted to do for the past 20 years. Easy.
Wow.
So, yeah, like with the new lineup, it's like we are all exactly on the same page, the same line, the same word, the same letter. Before, we agreed on a lot of things, but everybody had a bit their own taste, their own thing, their own whatever. So there was a lot of compromises. With this album, there was absolutely no compromise whatsoever. We just plugged and play, and everything that came out, we just like, okay, some arrangements, you know, like usual, like, okay, we should do that. Oh yeah, you know. So it was really refreshing because like everybody was exactly on the same page and everybody went in the same direction. Maybe conceptually, musically, the human vibe, everything. So for me, this is like a breath of fresh air. So yeah, but this album to me is definitely more aggressive, brutal, and dark in its own way than Cold Black Suns. Cold Black Sun had more that cold. That's why we called it like that. And kind of experimental touch in some kind of way here and there.
It did. Know? So years. I was curious to get your reflections on that record because I think the one thing that we'll definitely agree on it was very different for you guys. I felt like because of those experimental elements that you put in and because of the dynamics in the album, it actually made a song that was, you know, intended to be super aggressive like Hosanna, Satana. It made that hit that much harder because it's kind of like if you have a you know, I'll use a pro wrestling analogy. If you have a pro wrestling match where a guy gets hit with a chair 500 times, after, you know, the 300th time, it doesn't really mean anything anymore. Yeah. But if it's twice or three times, all three shots mean something. And to me, I felt like, and I've been a fan of you guys, you know, since the very, very beginning of the band, but I felt like with Cold Black Suns, what made that such a special record to me was that because there were these highs and lows and these peaks and valleys in the sound, anytime you guys did turn on when you turned up the voltage, you really felt it on the album.
Yeah, that was we had a totally different approach like than before, and we wanted to use unusual things just to see what we were gonna get out of it. So just for the guitars, for example, we went to that studio in Portugal, that small studio in Portugal. That guy was a genius when it came to guitar sound and guitar production. So he came out with a sound that was more closer to rock than actually metal. And when you did put the two guitars together and the bass together, we had that kind of sound that you hear on Hosanna Satana or on the album. So it was like all right, that was something we would have expected, like to have that pure rock sound, not metal at all. And when you mix it together, that's what you get. So, and adding those little atmospheres here and there, you got that Cold Black Sun, which was always meant to be a one-off album in that style. Like we knew it from the beginning. That's going to be a singular album. It's it's a mirror of a very dark period for the band. And we did want to put those feelings, that negativity, that darkness in that album. It was some kind of exorcism to go further. And I think we succeeded pretty well. I'm conscious it was not for everybody, but we were satisfied with it and still am. So, yeah, this next one is different. So we had the same kind of approach. We're trying other things. And oh damn, I'm happy.
Well, I have only at this point I've only heard the one single, so that's why I if I misinterpreted the direction it's taken, it's because of that. But I mean, either way, it landed perfectly for me in exactly the same way that Cold Black Suns did as well.
You didn't hear the whole album?
I haven't heard it yet. No. Now I think Will might have sent it to me already, but I because of how quickly this conversation came together, I've just not had a chance to listen to it. So just getting back to Cold Black Suns, you mentioned it was kind of the culmination of a very dark period for the band. I'm assuming that's why there was such a lengthy gap between Sovereigns and Cold Black Suns.
Yeah, like we had like all things happening in our private lives. So in those cases, when you're a full-grown adult, not an idiot or a teenager, you have to put things in order of priority. So like I wanted to put a bit some orders in our private lives, and then when those things were settled, continue to work on the band. And that album was some kind of a savior in a way. Like we did put a lot of frustration and all those feelings in there. That's the magic of music, and especially when you play that type of music, black metal, which is coupled with that message. So, it took a while just because we had those things, but it grew, and we worked a lot to make that album really the pouch where we vomited all our frustration and negativity. So yeah.
To what extent did you anticipate people that had maybe been listening to Enthroned for 2 decades struggling to deal with the direction of that record? Because I was surprised, especially in the run up to you and I speaking. I went back and I read some of the older reviews. A lot of people just seem to really have difficulty wrapping their head around the direction that the band took. And for me, I mean, it doesn't sound like the first or the second album for sure, but I don't feel like it sounds like you're not going to listen to it and go, this is definitely not Enthroned, this is a completely different band. You have to recognize there's a 2-decade difference between that album and a lot of your other material.
Not everybody think like us or have the maturity or adults like we are. Like it's the same situation with Marduk, all those bands, especially when you have you change the vocalist. That's where the shit starts. It was always better before, even if it was shit. No, it was better before. I don't say that what we were doing was shit. That's not what I mean, But same with Iron Maiden, it was better with Paul Di'Anno.
Yeah.
And you have those people like whatever you're gonna, even if you're gonna release, if we would release a Prophecies of Pagan Fire Part 2, they were gonna still say it was better before. That's the funny thing with metalheads and black metal, the black metal crowd. It's like they don't want they hate if a band goes sell out. Like it can't be sell out. Of course, I'm one of those, But you have to play what I want. You have to be we have to be a custom-made band. Same for Marduk, same for those bands. We have to play what they want. But sorry, we play what comes from our heart, from our souls. That's what it is to be a musician. Not selling yourself to the first bidder, whatever it is. So that's the funny part. Can't be a sellout whore, but please be a sellout whore. And that's metalheads in general. And that's the annoying things with them. And I'm one of them, but I'm not having that kind of statement because it's dumb. Sorry.
There is a very broken logic that follows a lot of that because you guys could, for example, you could decide, okay, I'm going to take a step back. I'm not doing vocals anymore. We're getting Lord Sabathan back in the band. and he's going to start doing vocals, and people would be outraged. I can't believe it, he's just there for the money, and it's like, which first of all is fucking insane, because the money, no one's making money in black metal.
Well, you're in the wrong kind of music or the wrong kind of business then.
Yeah.
Another thing, that's never gonna happen, because we went our separate ways, and we still are really, really good friends. Me and Sabatan are still good friends. Sorry, guys, to break your...
You guys didn't fight to the death to decide who was going to be the vocalist of Enthroned?
Say again?
I say, you mean you didn't fight to the death to decide who was going to be the vocalist for Enthroned?
Oh, man, that was bloody. Happened what happened. There was a big difference of musical differences, and you wanted to make some back then power metal or whatever. So good for you, but not in Enthroned. So but anyway, we are still really, really, really good friends. And but people out there really want to believe that there's a hatred. There's that you should give back the band to him and everything. So no, last time we spoke, he was happy that he was not. He just make his cover band with the songs of the first albums. He's happy playing that. It's fantastic to me. I have no problem with it. So yeah, people these days, they are really thriving on drama and attention and all those kind of shit. So if there's nothing going on there, they're going to start creating something and start to, because they're bored, and they're just sometimes looking at those comments, it's like watching when my wife watched those Real Housewives of London or something like that. It's exactly the fucking same shit. Dude, where is your IQ, man? You're gonna waste 5 minutes of your life to I'm gonna write a comment there because I don't like that new album, and it's not like I want it. I want it with that vocalist. Oh, it's with that vocalist. Oh, I don't like that guitar. They're gonna find. Oh, they're always gonna find something. So I prefer to just do my shit, and that's what matters to me. I don't mind those comments. They're just at some point when some of those people come at concerts, it's rare, but you have some. They're a bit comparable to those flies during a summer barbecue, but that's the only annoying thing. I prefer to mind my own business and my own music. I'm into my philosophy, and that's it. Fuck the world.
Yeah. The thing is also, I think for you, you strike me as a pretty intelligent guy, and I think if I put myself in your shoes as an artist, you can't be satisfied as a creative musician making the same album over and over and over and over again. You have to have something that's going to challenge you.
Totally.
To which a record like Cold Black Suns is a perfect outlet for that, because you can play within the framework of the band. It's unmistakably, no one's going to listen to it and go, "Well, this sounds like a new metal album." It's it's black metal, but you have to have something that challenges you. And then I think the next point that's very important, because I think that's a big difference between the bands that have been doing this for a while that continue to put out great work, and the bands that have been doing this for a long time that you can just hear they're past their prime. You must put out music that you are inspired to be released, or you're inspired to write. It has to come from a place of inspiration rather than servicing a brand.
No, exactly. We are not a product. We are I don't know what you can call us, artists, bards, whatever, especially in that kind of music, because to me black metal is more than just music. It's not comparable to heavy metal. We have that philosophy behind, which is really into our lives as well. So there's that challenge every time to translate into music what our thoughts are, what our feelings are. So it's not just writing another blast beat, like a mid-tempo, and then like a up and down. Oh yeah, that's gonna sound good. Those guys are gonna headbang their head off the charts on the first row. Who gives a shit? For me, we don't give a shit about that kind of thing. when we write music, it's for us. People like it, great. They don't, fuck it. As long as I'm happy with what I'm making, that's what matters to me. And of course the other guys in the band. So that's the difference probably with lots of bands. We're not gonna write a song because that's gonna be a head-banging riff and those guys in the front, no, just what comes out naturally, what's gonna translate what we feel, what we want to express. That's what matters to me. What those other guys in the band are gonna feel when we play those songs together. That's what matters to me.
Yeah. It sometimes also feels like I was using the phrase of servicing or playing in service or writing in service of a brand, but sometimes it's almost like bands get influenced by themselves, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The way you were describing it there now, with the greatest of respect to Kerry King and Slayer, there is no question in my mind that when some of these the last Slayer records were written, there was a conscious decision made to include a riff that sounds like X, because that's a riff that was really popular when we did it on Rain and Blood or when we did it on this, that, and the other. So anyway, getting back to what we were saying about the bands being influenced by themselves, I think that's where they start to go off the rails and where they start to sound uninspired, because they once were a band that was kind of leading the charge, or at least doing something that was innovative, and now they've stopped because they kind of feel like there's this expectation they have to live up to continually, and so therefore nothing comes from a place of any sort of inspiration.
No, that's true. There's so many bands that I heard like that. They're just gonna try to compose something because it's try to find what we didn't do yet. Nobody did that before. Yes, if it fits and if it's meant to be, and there's a good reason for it. If it's just for the sake of, no. I can't. That's something I don't really agree with. I'm talking for myself. People do whatever the hell they want with their band, But I see exactly what you're talking about. I'm not working like this. As I said, we're working in a very simple way, although it's quite complex. But just a translation of our emotion into music, and if we are happy with it, good. But the challenge is there to translate those things, and every time it's something else, because not every emotion is different. So we have to translate that, even if it's the same. Example, I'm going to take hatred of or dedication to a certain entity or something. Well, there's 10 different types of hatred, 10 different ways, or even more, to experience it. So we have to find the exact feeling, the exact way to translate that kind of feeling, or variant of that feeling. And that's the challenge we have with Enthroned. And that's perhaps why some people would say but they don't sound that interesting anymore. Because no, we're not going to use those beautiful acoustic guitars because it gives that feeling that we had in the 90s. We were 17 and 18, for fuck's sake. Now we are 50-year-old men,
Yeah.
So we know what we're talking about. We know what we want. We don't have to prove anything to anybody. We just do that for ourselves. You like it, good. You don't, fuck it, So that's the whole difference, I think. You can challenge yourself in a certain way, but I think for the sake of others, no. To me, I don't agree with
that. You've been the glue in this band basically since about 2006, 2007.
The band since 94, 95,
but you were the sole original member from about 2006, 2007, correct?
Yeah, and I was not there when the band was created, by the way.
Oh yeah, correct. No, you're right. You're right, because you were asked to join, and then you turned them down.
In the beginning, yeah. Then
why did you turn them down originally?
No, I was playing with them. Then suddenly I went out. I was like, nah. Like there was a discussion because I had some. Let's say there was some personal things with an ex-member, not Sabatan, but with an ex-member. Like me and the let's play cards on table. Like me and the previous guitar player, we had some personal issues, but that didn't last long. So I came back after a while. So yeah, that was just like a small thing. You know, when you're that young, there's stupid things happening. So.
And you were about, I think by my calculation, you would have been about 19 when you joined the band?
I was 17 and a half, yeah, almost 18.
Prior to that, you'd been playing with Heresia. And by the way, I went back and I checked out that Infected album that you were on.
Oh, fuck.
Dude, you know what? No, that's fucking brilliant. I was like, when I was listening to it the other day, I was like, I haven't properly listened to this potentially forever. There's some really cool stuff on there, and like with where black and thrash is going nowadays, I'm like, they should re-release this.
You know, there's some things that are better left in the pits of a tomb, no, in the bottomless pits of somewhere. No, that was a bad. Oh shit, that was a bad experience to me.
Yeah. Oh really? How come?
No, like. When I played in that band, the band was not bad at all. And I was really young when they recorded that album. And it was during my final exams when I had when I was studying mathematics sciences, and I had my final exam there. So like after the exam, I just came to the studio to record my vocals. And I didn't see the guys, heard anything of the recording for 2 weeks. Nothing. Arrived there, put myself behind the microphone, and I was waiting. Like, what the fuck is this? I thought they were testing the headphones or whatever. Because I was like, what's that? Oh my god, that sucks. So can we start to record? Yeah, but that's the songs. Like, what do you mean that's the songs? And I was like, what? And I started to listen more carefully. And I started to recognize some riffs here and there. I was like, what? So basically, they changed the style of the band
when they were recording the album,
because the producer told them it would sound better.
Yeah.
So they went from a death thrash band. You know, like originally the band was a bit like not with such a big sound, but like more or less comparable to Malefic Creation, Revenant, you know, that kind of
yeah,
band, you know, and yeah, what I heard there, like you heard the album, was like, what the hell is this, you know? So like, I was a kid, you know, I was like, shit, we had a record deal with Massacre Records back then, label with King Diamond and everything, so it was like, why, you know, and out of frustration, I recorded those vocals there on that album. And I was like, what the fuck? And that guy came like with the last song to record. Like, you have to use those lyrics instead of the original ones. I was like, I'm not singing that. I'm not singing that, man. Like, very, very political lyrics, you know, like Napalm Death style. Like
okay, all right.
I mean, nothing against Napalm Death or whatever, you know, but like you would say, like, I don't know, King Diamond would start to sing about Boris Johnson.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. So in the end, I was so pissed. I said, like, I'm gonna record this. But as soon as I recorded those lines, I'm out. Sure. Like, what do you mean, sure? Whatever. So I recorded those vocals, and I said, I'm out, bye. They thought I was like, I'm out of the studio, going home, and then we'll see each other at the rehearsal. No, I'm fucking out of the band. So I finished those lyrics and I left the band right the middle of the recording. Like I thought that's really terrible.
Yeah, dude. As I said, I honestly didn't think it was that bad. I thought there were some very cool parts on the record. Now, I can see what you mean when you're not the kind of guy I would instantly suggest would be best suited to sing a song called "Live Fast, Die Young." But the that aside, as I said, it's maybe I'm numb to some of the stuff that comes out nowadays, but I thought it had a charm to it.
So that's what you were looking for when some things I should not say on the interview.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's on Metal Archives, so fuck it.
I'm about to say it's on there. You can't. Well, here's the question: was it through Infected, or what was it you think that got you on the radar of the Enthroned guys?
That was a lot of Jack Daniels. Nothing to do with Infected.
Yeah.
I was at a concert of Marduk and Enslaved back in '94, I think. And those guys were like, we're drinking, blah, blah, blah. I was drinking. And then while I was taking a piss, like Sabatan and Sir Nunes on each side of me, like, oh, nice shirt, man. Like, because I had a Helvete shop t-shirt that I got from Øystein, from Euronymous back in the day. I started to talk, and then we got pissed together. And they told me we have a black metal band. Like, come and see us. We play next week. So I went to check them out, and they were saying they were looking for a second guitar player. I said I'm in. So first audition, perhaps that would be nice. So I went to the audition. Let's say we jammed together, and when I left the rehearsal place, I was in the band. So
was it just did it feel like a natural fit after that first audition?
Destiny. It really was like destiny. That was it's unbelievable. It's a feeling that still today is hard to describe. So instantly I knew that was my place with those guys. So yeah, and we stayed as much as we could playing together. So yeah.
I mean, it is also interesting because the evolution of the band has kind of evolved around you, if that makes sense, and it is ultimately. I mean, that's what I meant earlier when I said, you've been very much the glue that's held things together, because around 2006, 2007, when you stepped into the vocalist role, like that to me feels like it could very easily have turned into one of those inflection points that broke the band up. But what made you decide to take over the vocals, but B, what has kept the band together from your perspective, or what's kept you motivated or wanting to keep the band together?
Well, I'm a stubborn bastard. That's why. So the thing was, when we had to go separate ways with Sabatan, I was looking for a new vocalist and bass player. And I had the perfect guy for playing bass. Vocals, it was okay, but I really wanted to have him because he was a really close friend of us with the right mentality and everything. But he was a bit into that kind of blackmail thing. Told me he would join only if I would sing, and that's the last thing I wanted. I just wanted to be happy on my corner of the stage with my guitar, and that's it. But and then the other guitar player of the band and the drummer started to go with him. No, you should do the vocals. I never liked to be at the center of attention there. I didn't want to be on the center of the stage. I was really comfortable in my cozy place there, doing my shit on my side. But in the end, I gave it a shot. And everybody liked it. We recorded a 2-track demo like that, and played it a bit around to some friends, the reliable friends, the one who's gonna tell you right in your face if it sucks or not the ones who's like, man, that's great, and
Pat you on the back. Oh, you done a great job on that one, mate.
That's great. And when you like turn around, like,
yeah.
So I did my thing. I never wanted to copy Sabaton or do a second Sabaton. I did always my thing. And that's why in the beginning I was like, that's not going to work out, because I don't want to sing like that. It's not me. I want to, if I singing in a band, I'll bring my thing, not, So it took me a few years, to be honest, to actually appreciate or enjoy as much as I could this role. Now it's absolutely fine, of course. But because I start to realize, like, you can give the right emotion, the right tones to the lyrics when you write the lyrics, and you can sing them as well. Can give the proper meaning to every word, every emotion in them. So that's when I started to get more and more into it. So I was like, it started to grow on me, actually. So.
Well, I was interested when you were saying that you didn't, you were never interested in being the frontman, because I, as an example, I watched that Live at Tyrant Fest video on YouTube, and you're a natural frontman, and I look at these things an awful lot, because for me, I'm just fascinated by frontmen generally and what makes a frontman great. But I mean, you are a natural frontman. You naturally seem to gravitate towards the center of the stage. You've got a very commanding presence. You've got great vocals. You've just got a great connection to the crowd. So it was, like I said, I was curious when you said, like, it's not something you ever wanted. It's certainly a role you seem to have grown into.
Yeah.
Very well.
No, totally. Like, yeah. I don't know what to say on that part, to be honest. Yeah.
Who do you consider to be the great frontmen? Like frontmen that you look up to, and either for you in your mind kind of set the standard, or provided you with any sort of inspiration. Who are the best of the best in your mind?
Oh, that's a long list. I would say, like, in black metal, for example, I would say Attila. Back in the days, there was Attila. All the frontmen I really liked had a bass or a guitar as well, so that was something else. So like Malefic Throne, I really always liked his presence, creator, Tomaraya, those guys, and David Vincent back in the days. At the time when I saw them, some Morbid Angel on the Blessed Are the Sick and Covenant tours, that was mind blowing. That guy on stage was something. It was like that priest or that demigod, almost, like could do anything he wanted with his frock, and that presence on stage. To me, I would say David Vincent in that era. That would be probably the best and the biggest influence I had for vocals and presence, I would say. Presence, not even, that's bullshit what I'm saying. It's just like presence, I just do my shit now. Like in the beginning when I was in that role, I was like, how I should fucking, with my guitar and the microphone, it was like, okay. Like I was a bit lost. So I had to find some references a bit. But that quickly disappeared because, when you focus on that
is something
comes up. So,
sorry, apologies for the interruption. But that's something that I think would be a very, it would feel very strange having moved away from kind of having that instrument where you have. I mean, the instrument is a shield of to some degree. If you just look at it on a philosophical level, it's kind of a shield between you and the audience, but it's also something that keeps you occupied. Whereas being a vocalist, especially standalone vocalist, it's a completely different dynamic on stage.
Yeah, that was a big blow as well when I had to drop the guitar, at least for live shows. That was really not a happy moment. I was diagnosed with severe tendinitis in both wrists. So I can still play guitar, but during live shows, it became more and more a handicap for the band and for me. But when you're a guitar player and you've been told you can't play guitar anymore, so in a way, that's the worst nightmare. That's the worst shit that can happen. So I tried to go against that, So I remember there was that festival. We played that Festung festival in Germany, and then warm up, and everything. Go on stage, and after the first song, then the shit started. I couldn't even move my wrist. I couldn't even do an up and down or no picking.
Jesus.
And we were headlining, so
So no pressure.
No, so I had to play like this, just like moving the forearm.
Yeah.
So basically, I fucked the entire show.
Yeah.
Not on purpose. I didn't drink. I was not, because of that. So I had to make a serious decision. So at some point, I decided let's hire a session guitar player, and I will just do the vocals during the live shows, and continue to record the guitars in the studio and compose the songs. So that's how actually things happened.
What caused or were you able to get to the bottom of what caused the tendinitis?
Well, basically, I'm somebody who likes to work a lot outside, so I was building a lot of stuff at my house and with my parents, and then as well didn't warm up properly when coming out from outside to inside. When I was playing guitar for 2-3 hours a day, when I stopped playing guitars, I just put the guitar there and no warm up, no stretching afterwards.
Yeah.
So I had to pay the price for that. So that's So that's what I told my guitar players every time. Almost like that papa, that annoying old cunt coming to you. Don't forget to warm up.
I'm about to say, remember those warm ups. You used to be a Brazilian jiu-jitsu instructor as well, were you not?
A what?
Am I correct in saying that you were you've either done Brazilian jiu-jitsu or you've been an instructor?
No. I did the jiu-jitsu. No, jiu-jitsu, Japanese.
Jiu-jitsu, okay. That didn't play into the tendinitis?
No, not at all. No, that was just me not warming up and working outside, going inside and everything. So, no.
And you did. You said you did jiu-jitsu and you did judo as well.
Yeah, I was. I went till the brown belt in judo, and I was instructing little kids at some point, until the day I retired. Let's say I stopped because I had too many things to do, no time anymore for that. So, but I started when I was one of the youngest judokas in Belgium back then. I started when I was 4. Which was not legal back then, and until brown belt, and was supposed to take the exam for the black, but I stopped before that. I was no, done.
Yeah, I did judo as well. So I also the day that I did my brown belt grading is the day that I stopped. I'd always set that as a goal and said. Because I started when I was 5 in South Africa. There is no legal limit on when you can introduce your children to violence. They do full bore rugby tackles when you're 7 years old. So it's and for anybody, because a big chunk of my audience is American. If you want to take this into gridiron vernacular.
Yeah.
In football in America, I don't think they allow full contact tackling until you're 14 years old. In most countries where rugby is played and where it's big in schools, they don't allow full contact tackling until you're 14 either. In South Africa, they don't give a fuck. Tackling starts at 7. So same with judo. But yeah, I was 5 when I started. I was 15 when I stopped, and I did it the day I got my brown belt was the last day that I did judo. I loved it though. I really enjoyed it. I now I kind of kick myself that I finished or that I stopped, but you're also 15 and I wanted to be a rebel, and so you do some dumb shit, make some stupid decisions when you
we had a special sensei when he was European, he was Belgian, but he studied everything in Japan. So he was very Japanese minded when we were practicing. So we had like 4 hours a week, and half of that time was Shinto meditation. So
okay,
yeah, and we didn't use the typical kimono. We had the haoris, so as well, really exactly like in Japan. So I was like, I remember my mother all happy, like when, all that uniform, like, the kimono completely white and everything. No, I have to get a haori. So
what does the haori look like? Is it the
long black skirt? Let's see.
So it looks a little bit like the Aikido, the Aikido outfit. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I never knew that judo was even trained with that. Like for us it was the gi, and that was that.
So yeah, it was very, very special.
Yeah,
so very, very Japanese minded. So like I developed a lot of interest about Japanese culture for me since as well. So that was a good thing. Yeah.
I was going to say what because I mean you did it for a long time. You were in that very strict kind of training setup and following that very strict training regimen. What sort of impact did that have on your life and on how you navigated your 20s, your 30s, and did it even have an impact on how you've approached things like the band?
Oh yeah, totally. Like you learn to see things a bit more relevance, like to see things from a more another's perspective, where my bandmates would jump to the throat of other people. Most of the time I would stay calm, or sometimes not, depending the situation, of course. But no, like you learn a lot of self-control and analyze everything that's going around you before reacting. So that played a big role in my life growing up as a teenager and adult as well. And think before acting, lots of those things that came naturally. Maybe it was as well from my education, but I like to think that it came from there as well. So.
I do think that there is a instructive quality, especially for a young man, to an ass kicking. And I, when I did Thai boxing definitely calmed me down very much from a temper perspective. But judo as well, like you knew in judo when I remember very clearly, you go to class, you might have a great class the week, because our classes were Tuesday and Thursday. Maybe Tuesday was great. You were doing sparring, you felt really, really good. And then Thursday you go and you're a bit cocky and you just get absolutely fucking rumbled.
Yeah.
What's your favorite memory or one of your best memories from your time doing judo?
There was that day, and it had nothing to do with judo on that day. The funny thing, Sensei came out with a whole bunch of boken. So you're like, why? Like, the boken, like the wooden katana.
Yeah.
And he wanted us as well to train with this, like with the bow, so the long stick or the boken. not going to give a wazikashi or a katana to some kids neither.
No.
We learned in that session how to wield and how to defend ourselves with those weapons. And till this day, I still know how to use them. And it was very brief, but it was the way it was instructed, like with the calmness and the way to circulate your energy around and to use these for a certain purpose, with a certain focus. And the way it was explained, the way it was dealt with, stayed with me up till this second today. That's one of the most striking memories I have in general, actually.
I remember bow training as well, and how the first thing I did when I got home was to see whether I could replicate everything with a broom, so that if somebody broke into the house, don't worry, Mom, I'm going to be able to take care of shit.
Well, yeah, I got a bouquet for my Christmas, or I don't know what, I forgot what, and it was confiscated quite fast. But I wanted to wield that in the living room.
Yeah.
And that big vase made of Murano crystal from my mother flew on the ground in million pieces, and there was a big hole in the door of the bedroom. So, nah.
Oh, the bouquet is going to be for decorative purposes only.
Yes. I swear I'm not going to touch it.
You were talking earlier about the first time you met the Enthroned guys and you had your Helveta shirt on. You mentioned receiving that from Euronymous. Was he somebody that you had a friendship with or that you knew in those days?
No, just writing. Just writing for Helveta and the tape trading. That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. Like I cannot say I was friends with him. That would be a lie. So actually, we just exchanged 2 letters. I think that's it.
Who were you connected to during those tape trading days? Because it's always crazy to me. Like if you hear someone like Shane Embry, for example, he'll go down a list of fucking who's who of just dudes that he's messaging, and you 20 years later, obviously those people are legends. It's the same as a lot of people I've spoken to in black metal. Like I was trading tapes with Varg, or I was trading tapes with Euronymous, and it's like it was a very even though it was done by pen and paper and by the post office, it was in some ways a much more closely connected and close-knit scene than what it is nowadays with social media.
Yeah, I was writing with that guy from Sweden who had a death metal band, but starting his black metal project called Black Moon. It was David Portland, so became from Necrophobic and Dark Funeral later on. So in the end, it was like it took too long to write letters, so we faxed each other. So like we still had the fax. So that's the thing. That people today will never know the feeling of receiving that fax.
The excitement of receiving a fax.
Yeah, and as well, one day received that package with a tape in it, like what's that? Like put it on. Pretty cool. Obscure band from Ireland called Primordial. So Alan and I are in contact like since 92 or something like that. We were tape trading in 92, 93. Sent me some tapes from this other black metal project, Funeral Pyre. So yeah, there were like a few people like that here and there, So yeah, there were some guys from Poland, like from Imperator as well. Like, some guys from Japan that ended up creating that band called Abigail. So and of course all those Australians like. From Bestial Wallers, back then Corpse Molestation. And there are those obscure bands called the Noctambulant, and Sith Lord. That was very evil Sith Lord. Like a black metal band from Australia. I was like, oh well, you know.
Well, you know, it's kind of like Lord of the Rings. I do feel Lord of the Rings had a bit more mystique and a bit more evil to it than in the 90s than it did after Peter Jackson.
Yeah, more than Star Wars, I can tell you.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. But, I mean, can you remember though there was a band called, and I'll never forget this because it was just the ad was so fucking funny. They put out an album on Necropolis Records. The band was called Vondur. And they had Darth Vader on the front cover, and I'll never forget, like, the Necropolis Records had a big banner at the top, "Not for pussies," and then later on, Osmos started using that banner as well on some of their ads. It was just the most fucking hysterical thing ever, and I miss a bit of that spirit, that attitude in the scene nowadays.
I was in contact with Tony, like It from Abruptum and Vondur back in the day, so he sent me a package, and I had all the other guy sent me a fax. We sent you a package. It's the most evil project we did till now. Forget Abruptum. I'm like, okay. Oh, I'm looking forward to it. And I received the package. I'm like, are you fucking kidding? What the fuck is this? Like the Galactic Empire. Like what? And then they sent the next one's gonna be better. Like that mini album with their two faces on it there, like with the covers of Elvis Presley, and I think it was like, oh Jesus, like well, that was something different.
Yeah,
but better than Abruptum, I don't know.
I'm not so sure about that.
Not too sure about that.
If you think back to the almost 3 decades, I think it might be past 3 decades that you've spent with Enthroned. What is what are one or two of the highlights for you that stand out, like the things that you're proudest of in the band, or the things that you remember most fondly about being in this band so far?
Well, there's so many. There's a few moments like that. Like I would say the first ever tour was something as well. Back in 96, we had our first full-on European tour with Bewitched Sacramentum and Ancient Rites from Belgium. And black metal was still okay, still how it used to be, kind of. Started to fuck up a bit, but still had that atmosphere, still had those that mystique around it, and that tour was something because you had that atmosphere, meeting people for the first time from all those different countries, and that same passion, but of course each culture having that influence on how the people are going to react during one of those shows. And I remember we were supposed to get 2 shows on that tour in the UK, and the tour was not allowed to proceed through the UK because for some reason, like the church or some religious organization didn't want Enthroned to perform there. Ancient Rites, Sacramentum, that was okay, but not Enthroned. And like, what did we do? Like, and we didn't do anything. Like the thing is, like, we never knew why. They just told us, like, no, we don't want people like you in the UK. But I'm kind of from the UK. Anyway, you know.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun. But no, that tour was something. Yeah, I got to meet some of the nicest people. Stayed in contact all our lives. So those guys, the guys of Ancient Rites, we knew them already from before, of course. But got to meet those guys from Sacramentum. And Nisa, who just passed away here last month. Respect, brother. And Emila Nerdveit was doing session guitar, who's now the main guy in the Death Stars, you know.
Which is always blown my mind, by the way, that what Death Stars became.
Yeah.
When you think about where a lot of the people in that band came from.
Yeah, Soul Master and Dissection and everything. So it was like a bigger, like, wow. But yeah, they do what they want, like doesn't change the people they are. That's what the mistakes a lot of people make. Like, they're making that kind of music, so they're not true anymore.
Yeah. So you automatically can't speak to them, can't be their friend whatsoever.
Yeah. That's stupid. And those guys of Bewitched, like, always a pleasure to see them. Like, some of the nicest people I ever met, ever. So that tour was something very, very special for me. Like, it's one of the best memories. And maybe when we got the first album of Enthroned, we went to the label's office in France by car. We drove all the way there just to get our CD for the first album ever. Like, holding in your hand. And we're like, and then our drummer back then, Sir Yunus, was like, he didn't even play on it, so stop being happy. I don't care. So yeah, and through the years you had moments like that here and there, and there's so many. First time in Brazil, like the last time in Brazil, even it was just last year. Like we had that show in. Don't ask me the name. It was not in one of the big town. Like, and we played there. I think we did 11 tours. I think in Brazil. I'm not sure. And used to more or less every single place we usually play. And then I asked the tour promoter, like, "Hey, dude, like, what is that place?" Like, and look at me with that big Brazilian smile. That's the Amazon, man. I'm like, what? So basically, like, yeah, like we were driving in the mountain and forest. So basically, it was a place like in the middle of nowhere. The first town was 3 hours drive away.
Holy shit!
And we arrived in front of that venue, like, and I'm not joking. That those doors were like Jurassic Park doors. It was like, the heck, with a giant SG Gibson in front of it, in the fucking Amazon. I have to carry everything uphill because the bus was too heavy to carry the whole gear to drive up there. And when we arrive on top, on the stage, semi-open air, you see the fucking Amazon. You everywhere around you look, it's just the Amazon. So
you see like a swirl of smoke in the distance and say, what's that? Oh, well, that's just where they're cooking some explorers that got lost.
Yeah. So basically, it was funny. Like, it was funny, like, interesting. Like, we were doing that line check first, and then you hear that black metal music, like echoing in the Amazon. Like, that's I don't know, interesting feeling.
I'm about to say, it's fucking surreal, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was, and we were like, who's gonna come here? Like, drive, like, and people came. Like, drove for like 4 hours to come to the show. So it was like unreal. So not even a festival. It was not a festival. It was like 3 bands playing. So
they've got that Latin blood, though. That's the thing. They get some of the most passionate people on the face of the earth.
Yeah.
I mean, and they have a reputation in the metal scene, obviously, as you know, for good reason, I think.
Yeah. The southern you go, the hotter it gets.
Yeah. Here's a question for you, because you sort of alluded to it earlier about black metal changing, and again, you guys were one of the bands that really kept flying the torch, I think, around the time that a lot of bands were experimenting with gothic elements and singing and all sorts of other bullshit. But what's your view on where black metal is today as a band that's still active? You guys are still at festivals and shows and stuff like that. What's your view of the scene today? Not necessarily even versus the way that it used to be. I'm just kind of as a guy who's an old guard, a veteran. How do you feel about it in 2025?
Well, there are some bands that are really good. Like, I mean, they have the good music. The essence is absolutely spot on. Lyrics are really interesting, or at first glance they would look like normal black metal lyrics, whatever. But if you have a bit more knowledge, if you're not just a profan, if you know what a bit about occultism, really fantastic lyrics. I'm going to take like Dark and Shade, for example, from Greece. Really amazing band. That's a band that is absolutely mental. It's fucking great. And you have a few of those bands, like and in the last years, I'm not going to say new band because they are there for decade now, like, but like bands like you had that time where you had those bands emerging, like Deathspell Omega, Funeral Mist, and Offload Mode, and those ones. That was something fresh at some point in a saturated scene, and that was a feeling that I was happy to find back again in black metal. These days, I would say you still have those good bands here and there, but I cannot find myself in this scene anymore, to be honest. It's call me an old fuck, call me like whatever, I don't care, but it's there's so many people are so much more busy with the attention and being grumpy online. I don't see why they even interact with the world if they are so grumpy. First of all, like, gonna put a comment, I hate this, I hate that. Like, good for you, who cares? It's like you take a crate of beer, go in the middle of Times Square, I ate onions today, who gives a shit? Good for you, man. That's it. And the scene is a bit like that today. It's like attention and complainers, and that I don't find myself in that scene anymore at all. That's getting more important, it seems, that than actually the music and the message. And to me, I don't have any interest in that. So I'm keep on doing my thing like I've been doing for all my life. Like just if there's a band that sparked my interest, I'm gonna fucking dive in it, like I always did, and learn a bit about the band, listening their records, buying their records, even supporting them by buying merch if they're a bit above the normal for my taste. But else, I stick to what I used to listen, or to my classical music, or anything. So.
I definitely feel like there's black metal is kind of operating in parallel universes to me at the moment a little bit. There's a scene that I really, really love and that I think is incredibly exciting, where bands like Enthroned that have been around for a long time keep putting out great music. There's newer bands like Mysteriuming and Ecclese putting out fucking fantastic music. I get a lot of unsigned bands that send me stuff that's very, very cool as well. And then there's this undercurrent of fucking weakness where, like you were talking earlier about the church not allowing you guys to play, or not wanting you guys to play in the UK. We've replaced the church with blue-haired Antifa fucking idiots who patrol the scene looking, and are actively educating people on how to find bands that are sus. The other day I saw somebody say that if the band is influenced by the second wave of black metal, then immediately there's cause for concern. I thought to myself, are you fucked in the head or something? Like, the only bands that fucking are black metal like that you could legitimately call black metal were influenced by the second wave of Norwegian black metal. Like, there is no black metal today without Mayhem and Emperor and Burzum and all of those other bands.
Yeah.
And that's just like what you were saying. That's just something I want nothing to do with. I don't like the people that are like that. I'm not in that scene. I want zero to do with anything that those people say, do, or like.
Yeah. Recently, I saw that. Recently, it was like a few months ago. I think, not gonna name anyone, but the vocalist of one of those post-black metal bands, who had to apologize to the public. How sorry he felt, that he betrayed everybody just because in an interview he listed the bands he actually loves, the music he loves. And in those bands, there was, like, for example, Hate Forest. Why do you have to apologize for the music you love? Are you responsible because some guy in that band 20 years ago had some opinions that were not yours? Then I have to write a manifesto because if I'm one of those pussy cunts, because when in the early 90s I was wearing Birdsum shirts and I loved Birdsum. And I'm saying it at your podcast now. So am I going to get cancelled because I used to like Birdsum 20 years ago?
I still do. I'm not. There's zero to fucking apologize for.
I love the early album. I'm not too fond of the last thing he did.
No. That's not very good. But I mean, like Philosophem, the first 4 or 5 Burzum records are fucking genius.
Asker and Visli Septaros are some of the best black metal albums ever made.
Yeah.
So am I going to apologize for that? No. Why should I? Am I going to apologize because I have a British Bulldog at home? No. Because it's weird looking? No. Like, fuck it. This scene became like such a bunch of sissies, grumpy, and attention-seeking whores, and that's not something for me. Like in the days when you were going around like this, there were consequences. Now there's a consequences for being who you are. So I don't know. I don't want to have anything to do with whatever blue, black hair people from the right, from the left. I myself, and I don't care about anything political or anything like that. Leave me the fuck alone and mind your own business, and don't come in my garden, otherwise I'll shoot your ass with my fucking gun. No, but
get that Bocan out and treat them like you treated your mum's vase.
Yeah, so just like I'm gonna start to become more and more Norwegian, like for the.
I'm about to say it's rubbing off on you.
No, but seriously, like people are too busy with what others think these days, and they should mind their own business. Like, and that's it.
Well, the thing is, I find we have this wonderful ability in 2025 to switch off shit that we don't like. Weirdly enough, we've always had it. We've always told people to do it. We especially did it when the Satanic Panic was was at its heights, and all of a sudden, it's like the people that are in the scene that supposedly should know this by now should be given knowledge. They've just forgotten how to do it. So to your point, like people feel like it's their business to determine what other people listen to, what other people like, what other people wear. It's just fucking completely ridiculous to me.
Bitch slap. That's what they need. That's
it. Well, to the point we made earlier, the instructive benefits of an ass kicking.
Exactly what I was saying earlier on. Those people are like the wasps and flies around your barbecue at summertime.
Yeah,
that's what they are. Like, seriously. It's always the most stupid people that scream the loudest. It's a proof. It shows a lack of intelligence to scream out your opinion to be heard, or to think that you're gonna win an argument. So,
So Ashspawn comes out December 5th. What are your plans for next year?
So, after the release of the album, we have a few concerts. Not so many because we are becoming very selective when it comes to shows. Touring, most likely, we're gonna probably drop touring. Except for places like maybe South America or so, like because it's simply not viable in Europe and even less United States. So we are very selective nowadays for the shows, and so we have a few ones coming up, and we already start working on new songs. So we'll see how this will go.
So we might not wait another 6 years for the next album.
No, these last 6 years were very an exceptional situation because, well, I had to move to Norway, first of all. So that was not very easy for things to move around with the band. And we had a few lineup changes as well. For example, our guitar player who was there in Nerat, who was in the band since 2000, 99, 2000, well, decided to leave the band because, let's say, he wanted to do something different musically. So all the best on his new path and new project, and by the way, he has a new album of Emptiness, his other band, coming out soon, so check it out. Pretty good stuff. And so basically on the 6 years, we actually almost wrote 3 albums. And every time we dismissed them because people were leaving, so I'm going to take my songs with me. Okay, so, or we simply didn't like the songs, etc. Until we had a T-Chaos who came, joined in the band, and then things were stable again. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you. If you ever want one of those barbecues and you want a South African barbecue, a man's barbecue, when you're in London again, or when you're in the UK again, let me know, mate. You've got an open invite anytime.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Awesome.
I'll take you up on that.
Any day of the week and twice on Sunday. Thank you so much, my man.
You're in Norway next time in my area.
Yeah. Well, I will be there. I'll be in Bergen for Beyond the Gates next year, without a doubt.
A bit far from my place, but we'll keep in touch.
Awesome. All right, my man. Thank you so much.
Take care.
The title track of the forthcoming album by Enthroned, you just heard Ashspawn. The album will be released on December the 5th through Season of Mist. It is absolutely fucking savage. Of course, being released on December the 5th means that they miss the August 31st cutoff to be considered for the top 20 albums or top 40 albums of the year by poser publications like Metal Hammer, Decibel, Corrap, etc. And I'm sure they would not have it any other way. Massive thank you to Nornagast for his time. He is, of course, welcome back on the show anytime he wants, and I hope you guys enjoyed that too. Make sure that you head over to the Enthroned Bandcamp, buy yourself the new album, buy yourself the entire fucking back catalog, and when you do, you let them know that it was old Jackson at Into the Necrosphere who sent you. Right now, my friends, if you're the kind of sniveling geek who can't wait to tell all your simp mates that it is a definitive moment to have a female-fronted Linkin Park headlining download, I'm afraid the next hour and a half with Drugoth is most likely going to hurt your feelings intensely. That means it's time to hit the bricks, because this is my weekly news rant.
A roundabout for judgment. And hang them where the world can see.
All right, we got us the savage, beastly Drugoth back in for another weekly news rant. By popular demand, I should add as well. Now, I mean, some of the demand comes from me, but there's quite a few members of the Legion that enjoy it when you sit in on these, mate. So welcome back.
Thanks for having me once again. That's quite the introduction, but yeah, thank you.
It's well earned, mate. You know, you've earned it through delivering consistently brutal, nasty, fucking barbaric music. How's everything been going with you before we get started properly?
Yeah, everything's been going good. Busy, the same old. Working on a couple of different projects on the go. Some things are finished, some things are beginning. And yeah, still training. Just nothing changes much in my world. It's continual.
Yeah, I like some of the training videos that you've been posting, mate. As I said to you the other day, particularly that sneaky little body hook that you landed in sparring that I saw a video of not too long ago.
Yeah. I do enjoy being a bit of an asshole when that's light. That's just light sparring, but like I don't want to hurt anybody because they're my brothers. But I just want to remind them that anytime they can have a little
anytime the switch can go.
Yeah, but it's fun.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. I think people that have not sparred with a group of guys that they've trained with for a long time might not understand it, but you get into this rhythm, at least in my experience, where you know how far you can push the other person and they know how far they can push you. And when you kind of get to that point where you're just on the limit, that's when you have the best sessions.
Yeah, as well, I look at it like a business. It isn't my business, but I treat it as such. If I was to, say, put a little bit more pepper behind that body shot and cracked his ribs, he's out for a couple of months, right? So there's one less payment and one less sparring partner. So my constant thing that I've got going in the back of my mind at training always is the complete elimination of ego, because that can be the downfall of gyms, of people turning up to the gym. And it's harder to be a good sparring partner than it is to be a dick. So I always go the hard way.
You're absolutely correct. Well, it's also, I mean, it's hard to be a good pad partner as well. I mean, people don't realize how difficult or how much of an art there is to holding pads properly. And when you find somebody who does it, who kind of knows your timing, knows how to knows how to work with you, you have to hold on to them like absolute gold. I remember when I changed gyms and I was still doing a little bit of training, just like pad classes and stuff for boxing. You deal with a bunch of normal people, and they all start to flinch when you throw a punch, and they just do stupid things that can if anybody that knows, they can get you hurt quite quickly. And with one guy, I just lost my temper, and I tried to be patient for probably about 20 minutes. Tried saying, "Listen, I'm not going to punch hard. I'm just going to do this. Just when the punch comes, just slap down slightly with the pad so that you absorb a bit of it." And he kept on flinching. And I punched on one occasion. Felt like I could feel like my elbow was hyperextending. And I said to him, "Listen, if you do that ever fucking again, I'm going to punch you square to the face." He put the pads down and left.
Yeah, it can be. Well, like you said, the hyperextension, especially on a straight punch, is really dangerous. On a hook or an uppercut, it's all right. Like, you can get away with it. But yeah, I don't know. Learning, like you said, holding pads is an art within itself. But as well, I make it more difficult for people because I'm a southpaw, so everything's like inverted for them.
Oh,
so.
yeah. I remember having to hold pads for you guys. It always took me it would always take me about a round to get my read in on the person, because it does feel weird if you're not used to it. It does feel strange.
Yeah, the worst thing is when people I understand they don't want to hold the pads in front of their face, but they hold them out like nearly at arm's length, and like, what am I doing here? Am I fighting two complete strangers? Like, how is this realistic? A lot of the time I just go like one pad. It's easier for them, it's easier for me. But yeah, like you said, I found a couple of people who know how to hold pads properly. And if I'm doing pad work, I'm like, all right, let's get cracking. Like, just those people.
Yeah, about to say you stick to a tight knit circle. I was the same way.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of tight knit circles, we kick off on metalstorm.net as always. First track that I want us to listen to: Death Angel have revealed a new track and music video. It says here, veteran thrashers Death Angel are streaming a Tamara Lenas created an animated video for their newly released single Cult of the Used. I don't know whether this relates to a new album that's been announced yet. I don't think so. I think they're just dropping singles at the moment. I mean, their last proper album came out back in 2019. That was Humanicide. So you would assume this will kind of all roll into a full-length album early next year. But either way, let's hear what it sounds like. Let's stop there. A qualifying question very quickly for you. Are you I don't think you're a particularly big thrash fan, if memory serves me correctly.
I love Slayer. That's about it.
Okay,
Yeah, what
fair.
else do you want? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, see,
Just,
I am a big thrash fan. You know, spoken about it in the podcast many times. You know, we did our 666 countdown not too long ago with the Mikes, Hill, and Scandado. And I do like Death Angel very much. Like, my experience of discovering them was actually through seeing them live. I'd heard a lot about them being, you know, a great band and, you know, whatnot, but it was not a band that had ever featured on my radar. They weren't, you know, just in terms of the distribution network in South Africa, they were not a band that you could readily find in CD shops. And, you know, by the time that I might have been able to get hold of their music, I was already into death and black metal. So, you know, at that point, nothing else featured for me. Then I saw them live in London in 2003, and they just absolutely blew me away. They were incredible. So I've been a fan of them from a live perspective. I enjoyed The Art of Dying, the album that they put out in 2004. I thought Killing Season in 2008 was pretty decent. From there, I don't feel like they've ever really put out anything that I've been hugely impressed with. And I've got to tell you, I think that's the song that we've just heard now kind of probably falls on that pile as well. The main riff, I don't think is bad. It actually has some teeth to it. It's got a reasonable production as well, but the lyrics are, I mean, truly cringeworthy. They sound like they were taken off a Mortification album. Let's be honest. If instead of saying leave reality behind, if he had said leave the devil behind, then I would have said, right, this is a Mortification track. So, and then, you know, I think Mark Ozaguida, his voice sounds reasonable. Obviously, I know he's got his thing with Kerry King that he's doing at the moment, and I actually think he sounded a lot better on the Kerry King solo album than he sounds here. The thing is, the song also sounds very schizophrenic to me. They kind of it feels like everyone was told, whatever ideas you bring to the table, we will implement it no matter what, even if it doesn't necessarily make sense. You know, you've got like these little harmonic flourishes that get into the riff, and then you know, these little sort of twists and turns in the verse that again doesn't feel like it should necessarily be there, if you know what I mean. So overall, this to me is pretty mid. I have a strong sense of what you're gonna think of this, but let me allow you the space to articulate it in your own words.
Let me begin by saying I've had a good day. I've had a great day.
Yeah.
So I'm in a calm state of mind. It wasn't my cup of tea. I was trying to look at the positives. I liked the way the vocals were placed. I thought they were placed quite interestingly, where he left a lot of space for the riff and the drum fills to shine. Is it something I'm probably gonna want to listen to? Not really. Like you said, the lyrics themselves seemed a little juvenile, but where sometimes that can be a good thing. But I don't know, for someone of his ilk, and they're not one of the big four bands, but I'm sure they're, you know, well respected and recognized.
There are certain quarters. Apologies for interrupting you, but there are certain quarters where people actively will make the argument that they should be they should be seen as the big four, or the real big four, or them plus whoever else. I mean, obviously, with Testament, there's no question. Testament to me are superior to, when it comes to anything post 1995. My personal view is Testament are superior to every single one of the big four, including Slayer. That's post 1995, of course. You know, prior to that, Slayer or the Kings. But I definitely don't see it with Death Angel, and that's even looking at some of their best and most beloved records, the Ultraviolence, Act 3. They're all decent, but that, you know, it's not big four caliber.
Yeah, not for me.
Yeah. No, I think it's a pass for me as well. You know, I come at it as a fan and somebody hoping that they'd put out a good record, but it's not something that I'd have any interest in going back to. Now, one thing that I think we can all agree on, everyone's excited about. I know you've probably listened to this. I've listened to this many times, so this is not going to be my first impressions of the song. Mayhem detail their next full-length installment. The legendary black metal unity Mayhem have disclosed details and a first single regarding their new full-length announcement entitled Liturgy of Death. It'll land in stores on February the 6th, 2026 via Century Media Records. The 8-piece music output was engineered and mixed by Tor Sterna and mastered by Thomas Johansson. So, look, I mean, I should probably just remind everybody that I predicted this was likely to happen. People ask me what albums I think are coming up, what big bands are going to be putting out albums in the next few years, and I said we'll definitely see a Mayhem one either towards the end of 2025 or beginning of 2026. So I was right. I mean, I am slightly different to many when it comes to Mayhem in that I don't have a period of Mayhem that I favor. I know for some it's Demistries Dom Satanas. Some really, really like the sort of post Demistries Dom Satanas pre Attila's Return era of Mayhem. I think they all have a charm and they all have something that I like about them. I mean, I even think Grand Declaration of War is a reasonable album. It's not as good as Chimera. It's not as good as certainly not as good as the classics, but I love Ordo Ad Chaos, I love Esoteric Warfare, and I thought Demon was fucking fantastic as well. So I've been super excited about this. Where do you stand on Mayhem before we hit play on this new Weep for Nothing single?
Obviously a big fan. De Mysterious is obviously my go-to. I was also a huge fan of Damon, the last album. I thought it was fantastic. Yeah, I thought it was so fucking good. And then that little EP thing that they put out afterwards with the extra tracks. Yeah. I also, I just added them onto the end of Damon, and now I've got a mega album. But yeah, I've heard the song already, and I was pleasantly surprised. Because knowing Mayhem, they'll go from one end of the spectrum to the other, like flick of a switch. And I won't make full judgment from this one song, but I like the direction of this song, and I'm interested in hearing the full album. I feel like they're one of those bands where one song just doesn't do it justice. They're more of an album in its entirety sort of project.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There is one reference in this song, or actually one comparison that was made between this song and another band that definitely it resonated with me once I had read the comparison. It was Marco that sent me a message, and he said this is what it sounds like, and he was absolutely correct. I'll reveal what that is, but let's hear 2 minutes of Weep for Nothing first.
The
All right, pausing there. I mean, there is so much to the song beyond just what we heard now. I mean, it's definitely, in terms of being progressive, I mean, there's definitely a lot more of that than there is on anything that you'll hear on Demon. And the band that Marco compared this to, and I think he's absolutely spot on, is Nadinger. Nadinger, of course, is Telok's band that he was part of, and they're still listed on Metal Archives as being active. But the last record that they put out was back in 2017. It's called The High Heat Licks Against Heaven. I've spoken about it many times on the show and said how much I enjoy it. If you haven't ever dug into Nadinger, and you like what you just heard there, I fucking cannot emphasize to you enough how good and how essential their 4 records are. Sorrow, Infinite, and Darkness, that came out in 2005, was their first album. Wolf Father, that came out in 2010, brilliant. Greatest of Deceivers, probably one of the very best that they ever put out, that came out in 2012. And then The High Heat Licks Against Heaven, that was one of my favorite albums the year that it came out. And this definitely has a Nadinger feel to it, at least in the riffing and the song structure, the composition. And then you layer on top of that Attila, who operates now, in my view, really in his own category. I mean, he is just fucking incredible. And he showcases on the entirety of the song really the several weapons in his arsenal. You know, he goes from the screams to the sort of weird demonic gurgles to singing. It's just, you know, absolutely tier 1. And then I of course think that Hellhammer is one of the best, and he just sounds like Hellhammer on the song. So never gonna complain about that. So from my perspective, this one hits that sweet spot right at the very cusp of beyond top notch. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Like I said, I've already listened to it several times now. Big fan of the song and the direction. I too really enjoy the riffing. It's quite, what's the word? Oh shit, I can't think. But another thing that I noticed, the bass work by Necrobutcher, I think is very intricate. It adds to the riff quite well. It's not overcomplicated. It's doing its own thing, but it's still following the riff pleasantly. And it works. It just links in with the drums perfectly. And you would think it would too, after Hellhammer and Necrobutcher working together creatively for as long as they have. But yeah, like you said, Hellhammer's drum work, phenomenal. He's a perfect example because he's obviously able to play at stupidly fast BPMs, but at the same time, like, he knows when to just sit back and relax and just play the drums to make the riff pop more. And yeah, I'm not going to give it a top notch. I'm going to give it a double thumbs up, and that's just because I want to be a bit stingy with my top notches. You have to really tickle my knob to get a top notch.
You have to. You're gonna have to cup the balls to be able to get a top notch.
That's right.
Here's a question for you: off the top of your head, top 3 favorite black metal drummers.
Oh, I like your mindset when people ask you, your favorite, say, songs of a band, or in this case, the drummers, where it's the first that comes to your mind. I've adopted that thought process. And the first that comes to mind is Simon Schilling, or Bloodhammer. He is the drummer of Marduk at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
He's drummed in Belphegor for a album, I believe. He drummed on a album for a band called Streams of Blood, which I highly recommend. That album, I think they only had maybe 1 or 2 albums out, but very, very good band. So we got Simon Schilling. I really like the dude who drums in Watain. I don't know his name, but he's quite creative. I like, you could really hear the aggression behind every hit that he does. And
Håkan Johnson is his name, by the way.
Oh, for Watain.
Mm.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, whatever he does, whatever he did. I don't know if he did their whole discography or anything.
About to say, it should be added, he doesn't play live with them anymore. He's still heavily involved with the band, but he played live with them, and obviously he's still listed as a full-time member up to 2015.
Yeah. His work on their entire discography, Trident Wolf Eclipse especially is probably my favorite Watain album, but the drums on that, they're just ferocious. And my third and final pick, I'm going to throw a curveball, and
you're going to say
Drugoth. I can't pronounce. No, fuck no, he's a dickhead. I'm going to throw a curveball and say, I'll butcher his name, but Sean Bruno or something French, maybe. He was the drummer for Cloak. I feel like he was slept on. His drum work is phenomenal on both the Cloak, the 3 Cloak albums. Yeah, he was what made me enjoy the works of Cloak the most. His drum work is phenomenal. Yeah, shout out to that dude.
I think just shout out to Cloak. To me, incredible band, and what I love to see about Cloak is how they have grown, not just as songwriters, album over album, but they've grown as performers, album over album as well. There's that live clip that was posted. I can't remember what festival it was from. It's an outdoor show, but I mean, you could just tell there's just so much confidence in that band. They've got like a swagger on stage that's a bit old school, but just feels perfect for them. I've long predicted them for great things. I certainly hope that's going to be the case with a new album, because they thoroughly deserve it.
Yeah, I remember hearing their demos, just 2 songs, The Path, and I can't remember what the other song was, but I got the demo, bought it on Bandcamp, and I was like, this is, whatever this is, I fucking dig it. And they've just gone from strength to strength. And the coolest thing is, Scott Taysom is just the nicest dude.
I was just about to say, you have to give him a special shout out, because he's not only one of the nicest dudes, but he's really a member of the Legion too. So, yeah,
top bloke. Every time he's on, you're into the Necrosphere or the Soul Knox podcast, I always tune in for those ones 100%. He's really good dude. Him and I have very similar music tastes. So like, we talked about AFI for like, a couple of days just over Instagram, and it was great. Like, just really top dude.
My taste in drummers is probably going to be reasonably predictable and also pedestrian to some, but Hellhammer would be right up there, Frost right up there, and then Nils Fellstrom, aka Dominator, just because it seems like whenever he's behind the kit of any band, they automatically go 5 steps up in just in terms of just sounding completely and utterly fucking deadly.
Yeah, he's a machine. He's an absolute fucking machine, and left-handed too. So that's cool.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I like the way that those three men play because they have distinct styles. You can hear straight away that it's them playing. With Frost as an example, you can immediately hear it's him behind the drums. Live, he is so aggressive and so physical, and literally looks like he hates the drum kit and wants to beat it until it begs for mercy. Hellhammer kind of has a slightly different style in that I always feel like he's sort of a dude he's almost chasing the beat in a way, and I love that. I don't know how else to articulate it, but I love the way that he plays. He's got this very big kind of almost three-dimensional way of playing, and then Nils is just, I mean, absolute fucking savage. I saw him live with Nornagest at Inferno a couple of years ago, and I've seen him play live with a couple of other bands, and he's just, frightening how good the guy is.
Also, shout out Jay Reed, but whatever. I just wanted to throw that in there. Jay Reed of Revenge and Conqueror, same thing, but not a black metal drummer, but a fucking ridiculous drummer.
Hold that thought, and let's do death metal drummers next. But let's go with a song first. So, Old Night have put out a new song, and no idea who these dudes are. I don't know what their music's going to be like. But anyway, they've got a new song out called Homebound. It says here, Croatian doomers Old Night have debuted a video clip for Homebound, the second advanced single off their oncoming studio album, Mediterranean Melancholy. It'll be set free on November the 21st via, I think it's Muse Music Records. I fear the worst, but let's give it its 2 minutes.
These shores have seen their fair share of grief as the mothers kept waiting their sons never to return.
I was kind of revving the engine to say some truly horrible things about this, and then it occurred to me that if you remove the vocals and you replace that vocalist with somebody a lot more capable, it actually might not be a bad song.
I wasn't a fan of the vocals.
Yes, but, no, that I mean, I think there's consensus there. It just doesn't work.
Just the music though wasn't shit. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, if it had, like you said, a good vocalist, I wouldn't turn it off. But yeah, I thought the music was pretty good. Yeah, but the vocals as well. There's too many people in that band. You know what I mean? Like, 2 guitarists is enough. Like, I think they had 3 guitarists going on there, plus the drums and bass. Like, not a fan.
Yeah, I must confess, I don't think I've ever seen a band utilize 3 guitarists and me go, wow, that made a real makes real impact. Multiple vocalists, awesome, but 2 guitarists, 3 guitarists, never really made much of an impression. The riff is a lot like, I mean, there's a big My Dying Bride influence here, very clearly. And there's a couple of the other usual suspects that most death doom bands are going to reference. But again, I think if they were to make the brave decision to have the vocalist step back and potentially just focus on guitar playing, and they get somebody who's just got a voice that suits this better. I mean, he technically speaking doesn't have a bad voice. It's just not a voice that suits this music. I don't think it doesn't embellish upon the music. It actually distracts. So it's a pass, but it's a cautious pass, at least as far as my rating is concerned.
Yeah, no, that's going straight down the toilet for me, mate.
All right, now let's move on to more serious business. Top 3 death metal drummers. Again, rule of thumb is off the top of your head.
So there's obviously, everybody's going to say Sandoval of Morbid Angel, etc. But off the top of my head, my personal favorites, and then there's going to be some fucking nappy-wearing cuck who's going to be like, they're not fucking death metal, they're fucking... But the dude from Antichrist Siege Machine, not death metal, not black metal. Yeah. I don't care. Whatever the fuck it is. Him, because he's an absolute machine.
Yeah.
And he does vocals at the same time too, which is sick.
Which is wild.
Yeah, which is fucking insane because he's playing so fast. Number 2.
Scott Edward Bartley, by the way. Anybody who hasn't seen my episode that I did with him, very weirdly, it's one of those sort of ghosts of Christmas past that keeps coming back every so often, and I'll be like, oh, I thought people had forgotten about this episode, and there'll be like a bunch of new comments on the episode, so people seem to dig that one up probably with greater frequency than they do others. But, yeah, he's a fucking brilliant guy. It was a great episode. I was very, very, very proud of how that episode came out. And totally agree with you. Incredible drummer.
Yeah, top bloke. Awesome band. Great drummer. Great vocalist. Once again, awesome band. Number 2, drummer. I'm going to say... This is a 2-part sort of answer. Mike Smith of Suffocation, who is not of Suffocation anymore. He was a huge influence to me. Just like his blast beats are just so powerful, and his style, he was so creative. And my part 2 to this is the current drummer of Suffocation, Eric Marotti, I think his name is. They're big shoes to fill. There's been other drummers in between, but he is a fucking machine. And that last Suffocation album, his drum work on that is flawless. I love it. I think he's slept on, but he is a very, very good drummer. And 3rd and final, once again, the nappy-wearing, cuck chair-dwelling gentleman is going to have a meltdown because they're probably not proper death metal. But... the Lead, Paul motherfucking Ledney.
Well, I mean,
I don't know what it is.
I was about to say, what are you going to put him under if not death metal?
I don't know. It's not black metal. It's not death metal. It's pro fanatica. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But his work with that band, just his drum style, instantly, oh, that's Paul Ledney. Same thing. He's a vocalist as well while he's playing drums. So. I call it the Ledney beat. It's like an inverted skank beat, like the snare first instead of the kick drum. And I stolen it. Not stolen it. I weaponized it.
I've paid tribute to it.
Yeah. If he wants money for it, I would gladly give him my money.
Yeah. All right. Again, I think mine potentially, if people have paid attention over the last 6 years, they're going to be able to they'll be able to predict this reasonably easily. Jamie St. Marat from Ulcerate. Having seen him live, that was an experience in terms of drumming unlike any I've ever had. He's inhuman. I don't think I've ever seen somebody play with that degree of precision, that degree of he sort of combines precision, emotion, and just feel. He just has a feel for music, and he has a feel for what Ulcerate does. It's mind blowing. It's completely and utterly mind blowing to me. So he is definitely on my list. I have to include on my list the great and powerful David Haley. Now, he's somebody I consider a mate as well, which, there's not personal bias involved here. I just happen to say, and if people were to raise the question around personal bias, I would go, okay, show me somebody who would be able to hang with that guy and be able to do the things that he does, such as jump into a band at effectively a moment's notice, learn all their music, and play it perfectly. He is absolutely incredible. The work he does across Werewolves, Abremlin, Psychroptic. I mean, I was a massive fan of his back when I first heard Psychroptic, and this is like 2005, 2006. I was like, holy shit, they've got an incredible drummer. And then, of course, there's the story that I always tell about the Amenta. When I did one of my very first interviews for Chronicles of Chaos, I spoke to Eric from the Amenta, and I said to him, I asked him whether they've got a drum machine, and he's like, I can assure you he's not a drum machine, but I'll let him know that you thought that. It was just, that first Amenta album, he's drumming on that is light years ahead of anything else that was being produced at the time. And then I'm going to be cheeky, and I'm going to say my number 3 spot would be tied. 2 legends. We start with Steve Shalati from Immolation, and of course I have to put Steve Ashim from Deicide in there. He is, again, he fulfills that criteria of as soon as I hear a song, I know it's him playing immediately, and that is true whether it's Deicide, it's true of Order of Ennead, his other band. He's an incredible drummer and so fucking aggressive, but equally has this very textbook, definitive Steve Ashim groove, and you hear that from the very first Deicide record all the way through to new stuff that they've done.
Yeah, I was waiting for your Ashimi. Yeah, I know you're a huge fan. I was there with the 2. I knew you were gonna say that people might notice or might have a little inkling into what your decisions were. And in the back of my mind, I was like, it's got to be Jamie St. Marat and it's got to be Steve Sashim. So, yeah, I got 2 out of 3 right anyway. But, yeah, no, they're all good picks.
I'm going to throw you another one straight after this next song. Let's see how you fare on this one, because I've got a very, very specific answer on this one too. Your personal favorite drum performance, everything that you've recorded, which is a shitload at this point, but the song where, and you can make it 1 or 2, maybe 3 songs, but the songs where you go, holy shit, that I was on fire when I'm not one to pat myself on the back, but I fucking nailed it with that song.
Oh, fuck. That's blowing a bit of smoke up my ass, mate.
Well, you're gonna do it whether you like it or not. Okay, all right. Next song, Tempestuous Fall, and they are being listened to purely because they're Australian, as part of the soon-to-be-released record, The Descent of Mortals Past. Australian doom metal act Tempestuous Fall present another new song in preview entitled Psych, Temptation of the Divine. Normally I can only take one doom metal song at a time. There's an unspoken rule when it comes to Into the Necrosphere's Weekly News Rant, and that is one doom song per news rant. But like I said, they're Australian. I almost feel like by virtue of how much I love your native land scene, I need to give them a go. So let's hear what it sounds like. Look, again, I'm gonna be fair here and say it's a nearly 9-minute song. It's probably one that requires end-to-end listening to properly get what he's trying to convey there. So there's a caveat in my review, but that was not good. I thought when the opening riff started, I thought, okay, actually, this sounds like it could be pretty cool. Like very heavy early '90s throwback. I have some friends in high school who would have thought this is the greatest thing they've ever heard. But when when the song gets started properly, you kind of go from that heavy opening and this sort of, this nice big sound stage to something that's completely dialed back. I don't think that works personally. If I were a producer in the studio, I would have said, you can't start a song like that and then take us to wimp territory.
If I was the engineer in that studio, I would have said, get the fuck out of my fucking studio and take your shit songs with you.
Yeah. I expected something. I expected something that scathing, mate. But yeah, it just doesn't work. I know that the gentleman from Tempestuous Fall, Tony Parker, is also involved in a couple of other projects. Midnight Odyssey. He was in Aeon Winds. So, the dude has got, he's got some credentials. He's done some good stuff, but this is just missing the mark. Maybe if you like this kind of music, if you yearn for doom metal from the early 90s to make a comeback, this is going to be right up your street. It is not right up mine.
Yeah, not for me, believe it or not.
No.
Like, I'm sure he's a nice fella. This, he looks like an ice addict, like wearing a robe in the forest, which, whatever. Each to their own, just not musically, not for me. I am baffled and bewildered to why this is on a, somewhat prolific label and Thick is not. You know what I mean? Like, that Thick album, I still listen to that, and it's fucking crazy good. And
instead, you can go down the list of Matt Prizzo's work. No one has picked up Conspiracy X, to me, is mind-boggling.
Yeah, like, it's like, what the... I don't know. That's why I don't run a record label then, I guess. But, yeah, I don't know. It baffles me.
No, I am definitely with you there. Honestly, mate, I'm baffled that Drugoth hasn't been picked up either. I think that certainly from Battles May Cease, but War is Forever, there's no question the band should have been signed. If I had a label, it would have been one of my first releases, no question. So, question that I had for you: what is one of or two of your favorite recorded drum performances that you were personally responsible for?
I don't know. They all hold something dear to me. They're a chapter, if you will. But one, obviously, that comes to mind is my drum performance on the upcoming Drugoth album, The Indomitable Spirit of Merciless Vengeance, purely because I did it all myself. There was no studio engineer involved, nothing. I just did it all by myself in one day, and it took a minute or two to get done. And I'm very, very picky and peculiar with what I do, and it's the fastest Drugoth album that I've ever done. So yeah, probably that one comes to mind purely because of the amount of effort I put into it. I always put effort into it, but that one I think probably takes the cake. And probably a shout out to the work I do once again, it's not released yet, but the upcoming Shograth album. The drums that I did for that fucking drove me insane. The only other person involved in that recording process was him, was Shograth himself. And yeah, I was fucking fuming the whole time doing it, and I was absolutely rooted by the end of it. Just the audacity of him. I used 5 Chinas for that fuckhead's project. That's all I'm gonna say. 5 fucking China symbols.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll leave it at that. Yeah.
I did really like the work that you did on those songs on the split, on the We Are Legion split. I thought that was fucking superb. But my favorite Drugoth drum performance is Triumph Born of Bloodshed. To me, that's transcendent. That is, again, when it comes to picking out somebody from a lineup and going, I can hear straight away who that is that's playing. That to me is like your signature is all over that song, especially the last part. You know how much I enjoy like the single pedal way that you sort of you deploy the scumbag beat. But then, as I said, you've got that single pedal powering it rather than double bass, and the way that you do it, I think I might have said this when Mike Hill and I were talking about the record, and I said you're like the full Rudd of black metal, and I meant that in a really positive way. There's sort of a old school rock sensibility to what you're doing, but it is brought kicking and screaming into this really ugly, visceral, nasty place, or nasty form of black metal, and I just think it works a treat. So yeah, for me, the winner, hands down, Triumph Born of Bloodshed.
Oh, thank you for that. Now that my ass is full of smoke, let's move on and wash our mouths out from that pus that we listened to before.
So just a reminder to everybody, the new Drugoth album is out on November the 21st, 2025. You've heard a song or we premiered a song already, so you should be salivating at the prospect of it. But 21st of November, you can head over to Bandcamp, pick yourself out the record. Now, I wanted us to listen to the new Suffering single, and this is one of the latest releases or upcoming releases from our friends at Apocalyptic Witchcraft. They have also recently signed mutual friends Gravier. So, like I've said before, like Apocalyptic Witchcraft, I've got a huge amount of time for, because one, they have supported this podcast basically since the beginning. They were the first label to, make stuff available to me or to get me in touch with their bands. Connor, who runs Apocalyptic Witchcraft, is a fucking great guy. And as I said, now that his domestic life is sort of calming down, obviously I don't think it's I'm betraying any confidences by saying he became a father. He needed to dial back a little bit from the label work in order to focus on that. Now that has happened, it's he's in a place where I think he can do a bit more with the label. And Gravier has been signed, Suffering was signed, he's signed a bunch of other bands. Let's hear what this new Suffering single sounds like. It's called Enthroned, and the music video features work by Sabian Demonia. Question that I have for you, Drugoth, is does that name ring a bell to you? Are you familiar with her work?
No, man, I'm on another planet. I don't know anybody. So,
she's not a musician. She's if you're into Grease films, then yes. But if you're not into her cinematic ventures, that's okay. Fortunately, if your eyes are particularly sensitive, the good news is that we'll be watching the censored version of this video. So, without further ado, occult black metal entity Suffering unveils their most provocative vision yet. The sublimely not safe for work video for Enthralled, featuring adult actress and fetish icon Sabian Demonia. I actually do have the whole new album in my inbox. I've just not had a chance to listen to it yet, but we'll hear what this track sounds like. All right, let's pause there. What are your thoughts?
Well, my immediate thoughts is why they have to blur out the baps. That was my first disappointment. I'm a bit. It started off all right. I liked the fast riff with the blast beat. The vocals were pretty cool. I'm just a bit indifferent to it, honestly.
I featured these guys on Into the Necrosphere. I can't remember when. I was actually trying to look up what episode it was, but I know that it was. I mean, it was kind of early on in the show's existence. So I can't remember exactly what episode it was. Firstly, just to say, I am really happy for them being signed to Apocalyptic Witchcraft Records. I don't want to say that that the independent, when it was still called the Independent Bad Spotlight, that had anything to do with it. But regardless, very, very happy to see that they've been picked up by a label. And if I had a record label of my own, I would be listening intently to everything that I feature on the Independent Band Spotlight, and I'd be signing up bands like there's no tomorrow. But that's just me. The song itself, I think, is good. It constantly felt to me like it was going to go somewhere different than it ended up going, and particularly around that part where it slows down, it felt like it was building up to something more intense. It felt like it was going to dial up the intensity. We were maybe going to get something a little bit more, I don't know, old school. Maybe the deployment of the scumbag beat. And it just didn't. So I think it's a good song, but it's not completely blown me away. It would have felt like, metaphorically speaking, they would have closed the circle, being on the Independent Band Spotlight, going on Apocalyptic Witchcraft Records, and releasing a song that you just go, holy Jesus, this is fucking incredible. Can't wait for people to hear it. I'm still very, very interested in hearing the whole rest of the record. And to your point, there's elements of it that I think work really, really well. Fast riff is cool. Vocals are cool. The song overall isn't bad. But it's kind of that, it's just not quite reaching that point where you're going to go, okay, I can't fucking, now I'm giddy with excitement about hearing the rest of it.
Here's a thought. Listen to it, close your eyes, don't see the titties. And then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, for me, right, all I can remember from that song is the titties.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's not even the song, it's just the video clip. So it's a good idea, I guess, like promotional and marketing, that they involved this woman. But yeah, not for me.
Yeah. No, fair. That's actually, this it used to be commonplace to see nakedness in black metal videos in the old days, and you've definitely seen a lot less of that. There's been a lot more flesh shown by old age pensioners running through the forests than there's been flesh shown by women of questionable repute. Just on a completely different topic, and I wanted to make sure that I asked you this before we wrap up the news rant. The Tom Aspinall Ciryl Gane fight that was stopped. Obviously, anybody who hasn't seen that doesn't know what happened. Tom Aspinall, I think it's fair to say, went in as a heavy favorite. I personally thought he was getting pieced up in that first round. And then the fight gets stopped for just the most horrific eye gouge that I've ever fucking seen. But there's also some folks that are making the accusation that perhaps it was stopped because, or perhaps Tom Aspinall said, I cannot continue, because he felt like had they continued with his eyesight being 20/20, he was going to lose that fight. What are your thoughts?
I have a lot of sort of thoughts about it. One is, like you said, a lot of the casuals, let's say, were saying, oh, he only said that because he was getting fucked up and he knew he was on the tail end. Yeah. I disagree. Yes, he had a bloody nose, but you know what I mean? Like, that's nothing. He copped a few jabs like nothing substantial. He never like was wobbled or anything like that. So when people say, "Oh, he just looked for an easy way out," that's bullshit, I think. But as well, you got to think about it. He was on the fucking hanging out at the bus stop for John Jones for so long. He's finally been given the undisputed belt. He's like, "Yep, fuck yeah, sweet, let's defend it," instead of waiting, 2 years before any talks of another fight or a title defense. Ciryl Gane is a good ass fighter for sure. I was really excited for this fight. I thought it was going to be a really good fight. But he's got the Muay Thai background. They have their hands out with their fingers first. I think it's a shit way of using your reach, because for one, that it's not going to be a punch because you can't punch with extended fingers. So from that, I've made my style always closed fist, whether it's a punch, knee, kick, takedown, but that's just me. And some people saying that it's like a very, very bad eye poke. I wouldn't say it's the worst that I've seen, but it's still pretty fucking bad. And all of these people saying that, "Oh, that's nothing, blah, blah, blah," probably haven't been poked.
I'm about to say they've never been poked in the eye before. It's fucking horrific when it happens.
Yeah, it's fucked. I had to go to like a Specsavers, they're called. It's like a whatever, glasses and eye specialist, because some dickhead poked me in the eye, scratched the fuck out of my eye. And yeah, I was lucky where I seen some people like Michael Bisping, for example. He's got fucking
I was just going to bring him up.
You know what I mean? And like that was another sort of thought I had was, him being from the UK, very, very close with Tom Aspinall. He's obviously aware that Michael Bisping has one fucking eye. He's like, holy shit, the same things happened to me. Like, was probably running through his head. Plus, as well, it was in, was it in Abu Dhabi or something like that? It was early, like the timing was very different to what I was used to coincide with the times of Abu Dhabi. And plus that, yes, he's probably slept and gotten his sleep patterns all proper for that particular country, but he's fighting at, well, I don't know what it was for him, but for me, like the fight was on at like 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning. So he's fighting at a weird ass time. I don't see it as an easy way out. I see it as he handled it perfectly. And for all the people that say, "Oh, he's just a bitch," blah, 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 he's calling for the rematch. Like the moment his eye's better, he wants to book the rematch. So I don't know.
The rematch is, the fortuitous thing around all of this is the rematch is going to be huge, because now there's a story to tell around it that's going to actually, attract the casual. And, you could imagine this has the potential to be one of the more popular or one of the more sold heavyweight fights that the UFC will put on, certainly in recent memory. But I agree with you, those eye pokes were horrific. My thought has been on eye pokes for a very long time. The way you stop it very easily is eye poke 1, you lose the round automatically. You get docked 2 points. Eye poke 2, you get disqualified. I don't understand why it's even a fucking discussion. In rugby, we had an incident in the South Africa-France rugby game yesterday where a guy was red carded for a dangerous tackle. And, in my view, there's mitigating circumstances in that tackle. The guy he's tackling is himself going down from another tackle. This dude rushes in, but because he didn't wrap his arm around the guy when he was tackling him and he hit him with his shoulder, it's seen as an illegal shoulder charge. But, he's out of the game immediately because of that. And because they're so strict on enforcing the rules, you do see less of that kind of play. And I think if they were that strict on enforcing the rules in the UFC when it comes to eye pokes, you would see far less of it as well.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree. But the thing that on Tom Aspinall's channel on YouTube, which I follow, and you can hear it when, like, after I saw it on his channel, I rewatched the fight, and Ciryl Gane gets, like, I think it's at least 3 warnings. Watch your fingers. Watch your fingers. You know, no eye pokes. Watch your fingers. And these guys are professionals. And before fights, the ref is in their room telling them all the rules. He knows the fucking rules. He's had 3 warnings, and then this happens. And then he's like, "Oh, I wish this didn't happen. I'm so upset." It's like, well, like the ref said 3 times, and also in your room before the fight, watch your fucking fingers. Like, he's got no one to blame but himself for being a fucking idiot.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, again, as I said, if the incentive structure is not there to properly dissuade it, people are going to do it. And that's where I start to think, well, if you've been told multiple times not to do it and you're still doing it, then you're doing it with malicious intent.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like you said, you know, it's going to make the rematch pretty good. If I was Tom Aspinall, I would be really fucking pissed off. And yeah, I don't know. Me personally, game plan would be I would be slipping underneath those and getting a takedown and just elbow fucking straight to the dome.
Turn it into Brock Lesnar, Frank Mir 2.
Yeah,
just
yeah,
take down
leg,
and,
rip it apart.
and rearrange his face.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
Fucking
we're gonna
who cares?
We're going to wrap up with Malefic Throne, featuring members of Morbid Angel, Origin, and Angel Corpse. A lot of people have been blowing me up about this. Of course, I've been excited to hear it. This record was announced a couple of weeks ago. It says here, guitarist Gene Palubiki of Angel Corpse and Petition Temple, vocalist and bassist Steve Tucker from Morbid Angel, and drummer John Longstreth of Origin, Hate Eternal, formerly of Angel Corpse, will release their debut album as Malefic Throne. It's called The Conquering Darkness. It's coming out on November the 28th. The first single is called The Voice of My Ghost, and I will say the EP that they put out, I loved. It was a record that definitely grew on me the more I listened to it. It's, you know, raw, savage, slightly blackened death metal, but done in a style that definitely owes an obvious reference to the guys in the band's other endeavors. So yeah, without further ado, let's hear what this sounds like.
For those
Okay, what is your verdict, young man?
2 thumbs up. I thought that was
Yeah.
fucking sick.
Yeah,
and
agree.
also, during that, I was like, how did either of us forget John Longstreth in the top 3 death metal? He's once again, he's one of those guys where you hear him on an album and you're like, yeah, you know exactly who it is. His drumming's phenomenal. And I'm not like the biggest fan of like Origin's cool to an extent in small doses, but for me anyway. But like his drumming, you can't deny, is ridiculous. And I know you're a David Vincent fan, but I am too. But I don't hate Steve Tucker, Morbid Angel either. Like,
oh no, me neither.
Vocals,
me neither.
Yeah, like I think he's fucking. This band's sick. I didn't even know they had an EP. I'll have to rectify that.
Yeah, I would strongly suggest you do that. I mean, let's just pause on Steve Tucker for a second. So, I mean, I would say Formula's Fatal to the Flesh is right up there with one of my favorite Morbid Angel albums. I mean, for periods of time, it has been my favorite Morbid Angel album. Blessed Are the Sick now, I think, probably takes that crown. But I love Formulas. Gateways to Annihilation, I've always felt is a little bit too plodding. It has its moments, but it's just a bit too slow, and it just seems to be. It feels like a lazier record. I actually like Heretic, that came out after that a bit more. The less said of Illud Divinum Insanus, the better. That, of course, is a David Vincent record. And I know a lot of people hated it, but I thought Kingdom's Disdain was quite good.
Yes, I was just about to bring that up. Kingdom's Disdain, I thought was fucking great. Like, I don't know why everyone thinks it was shit. I thought it was sick. Yeah,
dude, I don't understand how anybody can not like Declaring New Law of that album. I mean, that is one of the fucking meanest songs that has ever been written. We might have to.
I think that whole album is sick.
We might have to get a quick minute of this, just so people know what we're on about. Yeah. So, Declaring New Law, Secret Hell of Kingdoms Disdained. Let's just give the Legion 60 seconds of this to remind them why we both think this record is fucking excellent. Yes. If you were gonna do a pro fight, of any kind, Thai boxing, MMA, that's gonna be the walk-in song. No question about it.
You smell that? That's the smell of a porterhouse sizzling away, my friend. That's testosterone right there.
That's fucking absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah,
no, I love it.
I also like on that album, I think it's the first song, Piles of Little Arms.
Yeah.
Yes, the drums are triggered, and it's a very well produced album, but they put there's little tasteful details that they left in there. Like there's a gap, like a mute in the music, and you can hear the drumsticks like do the 4 count, and just little details like that. I really love. But yeah, that album's fucking sick. Which makes me think that came out in 2017, I believe. I know Trey's got a few issues going on, I think, but are we due for a new Morbid Angel album?
Theoretically, yes, but I think until those issues are resolved, and I have no way of knowing whether they have their severity or even the details of what they are. And it's all just speculation based on a single interview that was released with him. But I think it's going to be a while before we see anything. But yeah, great album. Steve on this song, getting back to Malefic Throne, sounds fucking great. It's got a very, very strong Angel Corpse vibe to it. And then it has at the 1 minute mark, and again after the second verse, it's got this fucking brilliant, very brief groove. Like it just slows down a little bit, and it's just this nasty, fucking gritty, filthy groove that sort of slaps you in the face, and then the blasts kick back in. It's old school, but it's not so old school that it sounds like it's intentionally trying to be old school. It's just a product of the three guys that produced it, and the fact that those three guys are all players at the absolute apex of the game means that the song couldn't be anything other than fucking great.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this album, November 28th. I'll definitely be putting that on my calendar, and who knows, it might be on a certain end of year list. We'll just have to wait and see. But I'll check out the EP for sure. Them
end of year lists are starting to become very interesting. Like, I thought this year that it was going to be a lot easier. When I got to about the halfway mark of the year, I thought it was going to be way easier than 2024, but I think actually might be even harder. There's just been a lot of really, really good stuff that's come out over the course of the last probably 2-3 months in particular. That have taken me by surprise. I mean, one of them, if we talk about death metal, was Glorious Depravity. Their new album, Death Never Sleeps, came out on Transcending Obscurity Records. I listened to a single by them either this past week's News Rant or the week before. The whole album is fucking fantastic. It has a throwback to, the glory days of Deicide, kind of first 3 records brought into the modern age. Absolutely brilliant. Features Chris Grigg from Woe, also the man behind Ampwall. He does a absolutely sensational job behind the drum kit. I don't know how much he was responsible for actually contributing to the songs themselves, but either way, I mean, you've got class all the way through the band, so speaks or stands to reason that the band was going to sound like a class act. So yeah, definitely an album that's on the list, that's on the short list anyway. And then there's a whole bunch of others as well. I mean, Darvasa, that came completely, as a surprise, but there is no world in which Darvasa is not on my top 30 list. Despised Icon, that Shadowwork record, I really, really love. I mean, the Enthroned record, speaking to this week's guest, that was a surprise, and it is unsurprisingly fucking excellent. Nexion, they put out a record, Sundrung, superb. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting end of year list. We will speak next when we do our end of year EP wrap up. So that's going to be sometime in January. So looking forward to that, mate.
Yeah, me too. I've been chipping away at that, adding to my list, and maybe early January I'll start culling the numbers and making the top five. We're doing top 5.
Let's go with the top 6. We go with the devil's number on this. We'll
number.
Go with the devil's number on this podcast.
All right. Well, that makes it a little bit easier on my end, because there's been, like you said, albums, especially towards the end of the year. There's been some fucking really good EPs as well. So yeah, a few where I'm taking this quite seriously. There's some that are, one website calls it a demo, one website calls it an EP. So I'm going through the nitty gritty details to make my list final and as accurate as I possibly can. But I'm looking forward to it for sure.
All right, friends, we've been going now for an hour and 22. So, Drugoth, I'm going to say thank you once again for sitting in on the News Rant. Had an absolute blast. I also want to say thank you to Nornagast from Enthroned. Make sure, as I said, you check out that new Enthroned album when it comes out. It is an absolute beast. I want to say thank you very much to every single member of the Legion who has stuck it out until the very end. And if you don't follow me on Instagram for whatever reason, then here's another opportunity for you to have a guess at who episode 300's guest is going to be, as I wrap up with an oldie but a goodie, and I finish with my usual sign-off. Whatever it is that you are doing, my friends, and wherever it is that you are, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you bad motherfuckers again next week.